You don't want to get mixed up with a guy like me. I'm a loner, Daddy. A rebel.
Rebel. I'm a rebel. I'm a rebel.
I don't believe it. You're not a rebel.
Hey!
Hey.
The rights are on the line.
Are you a member, Sky?
Member of what?
Of the rebellion here on the channel?
Yes.
Are you really? Because if you're not, then you're not a rebel.
We're building dignity-based resistance here.
I don't see you in the member list.
What?
Yeah, you may not be a member.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
On your thinking cap. Oh, man, it's going to be so good today. It's going to be a good episode. I think you're going to like it, Chip.
I should hope so.
Definitely. The ethical underground. Nice. This is happening.
Okay.
Okay. It's happening.
It's happening.
Hey, welcome to the Ethical Underground. My name is Skyjack Morgan. I'm here with that Chip guy. We are here to discuss an ethical quandary and some philosophical situations. And you said you wanted to start it off with a riddle today, Chip?
Yeah,
Are
but
you...
prove that your name is Skyjack Morgan.
Okay, I'm going to prove it. No, I can't prove it because no one's alive anymore. No one that could prove it is alive anymore.
Also, please notice that it is King's Night, and I'm wearing orange, the color of the king here.
Oh yeah, nice for you. It's everyone likes the kings.
We're partying. People are partying. Like there's already a party in my neighborhood. I'm probably gonna have trouble sleeping because I'm tired and I don't like to party. I'm one of those old men who don't party. How dare you? But we're gonna speak about that later. So I want to do a riddle for you.
Sure. Although I can't believe you're celebrating a king, but okay.
Okay.
This is why Americans, this is why I can't ever move back to Europe, is because you guys still think that the monarchy, the divine right, you still believe in the divine right of kings. It's unbelievable.
No. I fucking hate kings, but I love King's Day. Well, I don't love it. I also hate it, but
you like the party though.
I just like parties, yeah. Well, I don't like parties also. I just like to be part of the whole thing, you know.
Nice hat, says
Yeah,
Ben
there
from
you go.
Berlin.
I just like to wear orange, Sky. Can one person not wear orange without being all like, how dare you support that monster? So imagine that every single person on this planet was put in a room with two buttons in front of them, blue and red.
Okay. I can imagine that because I think I've been there before. I think I've been in that room.
Okay. If most of the people who press the blue button, if the majority of people press the blue button, then everybody survives. If the majority of people press the red button, then the people who press the blue button die.
Okay.
What button are you pressing?
If I hit the... One more time for me. I'm a very stupid man. I haven't had my first cup of coffee yet.
That's okay. So the majority of if the majority of people hit the blue button,
nobody dies.
Nobody dies.
Okay.
If the majority of the people hit the red button, then only the people who hit the blue button die.
Oh. I would hit the blue button.
You would hit the blue button?
Yeah.
Why?
I think it's the only ethical choice is to make it so that nobody dies, right? I'm gonna hit the. I mean, if people want to kill me because I'm in the blue button,
Okay, and what if I tell it to you like this?
I'd rather
If you
die
hit,
a good person who didn't want anybody to die.
now I'm gonna tell you to you like this. If you hit the blue button, you have a smaller chance of surviving. If you hit the red button, you'll definitely survive. Which one would you press?
You somehow know the odds now for some reason.
Yeah,
Somehow
but
you
that's
know
the whole thing
odds.
about it, isn't it? Because I think like it's silly to press the blue button personally.
Why?
Not because why? Because I think it's like kind of like misinformation to some extent. Because you're deliberately misinforming the person in a way by saying it that way, right? Like everyone who presses if majority press the blue button, everyone survives. Okay, but why would you press the blue button in the first place? That just gives you an odd that you may lose and you may die. However, if you press the red button, if somebody presents to you, hey, if you press the blue button, you may die along with other people who press the blue button. However, if you press the red button, you will definitely survive.
Yeah, but
Everybody
then
will just
all
press
the
the red
people
button.
who press the blue button are the people who didn't want anybody to die, the good people. So you're saying,
But no. But why would I would press the red button even if I don't want anyone to die. I would want everyone to press the red button. What do you mean?
but you can't convince. Is everyone in the room able to talk, or are you just going into the room one by
No.
one?
No, that's a thing, right? That's the thing. Knowing that people are kind of stupid, it's difficult, right? Because you're banking on the selfishness of people. The stupidity of people won't understand that most people should pick the red button.
Why should
But
most people pick the red button? That doesn't make any
because it's
sense.
just statistically speaking, it's just the one that makes sense.
Well,
Because if you
it
press the
doesn't
blue
make
button,
sense.
if you press the blue button, you have a chance of dying. If you press
Yeah.
the red, you don't.
But if you press the red, you have the chance of killing someone.
Not necessarily. Not if you present if everyone in the room, if everyone in the room is presented with the options this
So
way,
everyone in the room could talk. You could convince the others. I could be like, "All right, everybody, we're all pushing the red button so nobody dies."
no, but that's what I mean. Like if you're presented with the option in this manner, right? Like that's why I call it a little bit like it's not misinformation, but it's deceitful. Because if you're presented with the information in a way, like if I presented to you the riddle by saying, "Hey, if you press the blue button,
Yeah.
you have a chance of dying along with everyone else who pressed the blue button.
Mm-hmm.
However, if you press the red button, you have no chance of dying." Which one would you press?
Huh.
Right? Like in that situation,
Except
you would still.
Except when you push the red button, you are ensuring that the blue button pushers die. That's misinformation. The second time you did misinformation because you said there's no chance of dying. The second one is misinformation. The first one isn't, because the first time you presented it, you said if you push the blue button,
Yeah.
if the
I
majority
guess
of the
you're
people
kind of
push the
hiding
blue button,
something in both situations,
you're
right?
finding more in the second one because you're not saying that the blue button pushers are going to die.
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I forgot about that. You see, I didn't think about that also. Then I would also probably push the blue button. Yeah. You're right. So if you press the red button, you have a chance. Your chances of survival are 100%, but the people who will press the blue button will die.
Right.
So
So you're
yeah.
a killer if you push the red button.
Yeah. Yeah. Then no, I would rather press the blue button. You're right. No.
Hey!
Yeah.
This is going to be a great episode. I already convinced you.
But
That's
it's
amazing.
a good. It's well, yeah. I missed this idea that you're right. When you press the red button, you also have a repercussion that you may kill somebody else. But if everybody in the world was very intelligent, then everybody should press the red button. If people are not intelligent,
Why would it be a
and they're-
marker of intelligence? You sound like Donald Trump. If everyone was as smart as me, nobody would pay taxes.
Well, why would it be a marker of intelligence? Because again, like if everyone in the world understands it, that okay, let's assess the risk for myself,
Yeah.
right? Which is who you're responsible for first and foremost.
Uh-huh.
Then you would choose the one that's the least risk, which is red. So then you would say, okay, well, that's the least amount of risk. So everyone assesses in the same way. Like if you knew that everyone assesses the risk in a way that it's the least to themselves, then they would choose the red and everyone in the world wouldn't die. But right, like it becomes monumentally more
Or
Like,
if the majority of the people pick blue, see what you're saying? You have to convince everyone to push red, and nobody
no,
dies.
I'm not saying you have to convince everyone. I'm saying if everyone in the world thought in a similar manner about risk assessment to themselves, then everyone would press red.
But everybody is not about. Everyone's not as selfish as you think, and that's not a sign of intelligence. Selfishness is not a sign of intelligence.
But I wouldn't see it necessarily as selfish, would I?
The blue button pushers, you only have to get to the majority of people, and then nobody dies. But red button pushers, you're guaranteeing someone will die.
You're not, because everyone may press red, right? It's not a
But
guarantee.
you have to get 100%, where the blue button pushers, you only have to get 51%.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
It's
So
way more ethical and logical and intelligent
in
to do the blue
in today's
button.
world, yes. In today's world, yes. But in a world where everybody understood the risk, it wouldn't be that way. I would think it would be different. So in today's world, I would also press the blue button. But in a world where everyone were thinking better, I would press the red button.
I have no idea why you keep on saying thinking better. I don't see where you're making this leap where everyone thinking better would push the red button. That makes zero sense to me.
Well, then again, if everyone has enough empathy, everyone will just press the blue button and we would have no issue.
Not everyone.
Right?
You just need 51%.
Yeah.
That doesn't take so much. 51%.
Yeah, so I guess it's more than anything, it's a measurement of how much you trust humanity, isn't it?
51%. I think 51% would hit the blue button. Nobody dies.
It's hard to say. It's hard to say, but if you present it like like you did to me now, then I would also press the blue button. But you see, it's very much a matter of how you present this problem, isn't it? Because you can twist it in all the ways, and you can present it in different ways, and you may press a different thing. And that's also another interesting thing. What if this problem was presented differently for everyone? Would you change your mind then?
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the problem with a lot of this is how we do ballot initiatives in America, right? In California, at least, we do these things where you'll read these little blocks of text and then try to vote accordingly. I'm thinking about the 13th Amendment one that was in the California ballot a couple of years ago now, where it was, do you want to abolish slavery in prisons? And it's like, yes, I want to abolish slavery in prisons. I'm against slavery. And yet most people voted to keep slavery in California prisons. And so literally slavery was on the ballot and slavery won. And I think it's because of the way it was presented. People are like, oh, just prisoners can be used as labor and this will cost us money if we don't use them as free labor.
I gotta ask you then another way, Sky. Would you rather you have a risk of dying or someone else in the world have a risk of dying?
I would rather take the risk than somebody else. I think I'd rather take my own chances than have push a button, have some faceless bureaucrat get killed, or have someone walk behind somebody else and kill him. Ben from Berlin, typical German. Oh, via so superior. You have kings. He's called King Charles. The German king is King Charles. What do you mean you don't have a king in Germany? You have Prince Herrenhäuser, and the Herr Herrenhäuser is in direct succession to the King of England. You guys have a monarchy in Germany. They're the English. It's the same family.
Balloons.
We don't have a king in Germany. We are so superior in Germany. We don't have any of these divine right of kings. Crazy Jackdaw comes in with the $9.99 and pounds. She's pressing the green buttons.
Interesting, because when I saw the problem first, I saw it as a risk assessment thing, but I didn't think that indeed when you're pressing the red button, you're risking somebody else's life, not your own. So then it makes more sense. Like, I would rather risk my own life than risk somebody else's. So you're right about that.
I would. And also, I don't want to kill anybody. I don't want to be the guy who pushes the red button and signs the death warrant for somebody else.
Yeah, the thing about it, though, is that I only measured risk to myself. And if you only measure risk to yourself, then pressing the red button makes sense because it's the least amount of risk. But if you measure risk to others also, then pressing the blue button makes more sense, right? So it's like, I think I would also press the blue button now that after having this conversation. Because I didn't think about the risk to somebody else. I didn't think about, that there's a risk to somebody else. I just thought, there's only the risk to myself, which is, you know, it is what it is.
It is something to think about. You'll risk to yourself. Certainly, we think about those things, but I don't want to be pushing the red button. Hate speaker Sargon of Akkad just dropped $1 and $2 to say that if it was just Chip and I'd push the red button.
Well, if it's 50-50, who knows who'll die? Huh?
Yeah. You guys both push the red, you both die. See, that's the thing. What if it's just two people? If you both push the red, then both of you are going to die. But if you push the blue, both of you live.
The good funny thing is because it's such a good analogy for the political parties that are in the US, isn't it? Because blue is like the Democrats and red is the Republicans. Republicans tend to think for themselves, right? You got to do your own thing, and red kind of signifies that. And the blue are like, hey, we all help each other so that the majority wins, you know?
Actually, so what I said isn't true. What I said isn't true. If you both push the red button, you both live because you only kill the blues. And if you both push the blue, you both live.
Well, I'm guessing that if I press the blue and he presses the red, then we both live, because if it's the majority of red, then the blue die.
Right, you can't get to 51% with two.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, I really like this. If you say they're terrorists, you could pretend to push the red button guilt-free. There you go. If you just pretend they're terrorists, you can push the red button all you want. Great, great, great. I love that. I love that for us. Well, this week we were going to talk about the Golden Age of Misinformation, and I think this ties in nicely. The thesis of the episode is that in the deepfake era, belief is a moral act, and it's the deepfake era has turned the burden of proof into a weapon, making Cliffordian epistemic ethics both more urgent and more structurally impossible than ever. Can an ethical life survive manufactured reality, and who is responsible when it can't? Man, this is something that I've been thinking about a while. Do you know who W.K. Clifford was? And if not, that's awesome, because I can't wait to tell you about him.
Tell me.
The foundational framework is that belief is a moral act, not just an intellectual one. Unjustified belief harms the fabric of common belief that civilization depends on. So the idea is it's wrong always, everywhere, and for anyone to believe anything upon insufficient evidence. You like that? It's unethical to believe anyone. It's always unethical, always, everywhere, for anyone to believe anything upon insufficient evidence. W.K. Clifford.
Oh, yeah. So essentially, always ask for evidence.
Yes. Did you even try? Right?
AAFE. Always ask for evidence.
Always ask for evidence. That's right. That's it. And just imagine them to be terrorists. That's all you have to do. That's the American way. Sure. But that's the thing. Like, you would have to ask about, in this case, you'd have to say, well, where's the evidence? What do you mean they're terrorists? What do you mean? And so I think that this helps with outreach too. And I was thinking about you when I was making this. I was thinking about how when you do outreach, you get to people a lot of times that just like, well, I didn't know. I didn't ask. I don't want to know. I don't want to think about it. But I think a good question would, I wish that I'd done this when I was doing outreach and asked them, well, is it ethical to just believe that animals it's okay to enslave them? Is that ethical just to believe that without evidence? And that philosophically it isn't. It is not ethical.
But you can't ask, like, I feel like you can't provide evidence for moral questions, can you? Like, there's no such thing as evidence. Is it ethical? Like, can you provide evidence if it's ethical or not to enslave animals? No, you can try to justify it or explain why it would be ethical or not, and then those arguments, maybe we can test that whether they're logically sound, and that means whether they have evidence behind them. But otherwise, no, you can't really, right? Like, if somebody genuinely says that I don't value any form of life, including sentient life, and they're consistent, as in to say, yeah, if you kill my mother, I would think it's okay. Yeah, if you kill me, I would think it's okay. Like if they generally say that, then there's nothing you can do. That's just what their moral
Yeah, but I don't
value
think they're
system is.
engaged in that. I don't think they're engaged at that level. They're engaged at the level of they go and they've been told their whole life that it's okay to eat animals. It's okay to do all sorts of other unethical things. But I think the animal one works really well here because they haven't been taught what you just described about sentient life and blah, blah, blah. They've been taught go to McDonald's to eat. And that's a belief structure they're not aware that they're engaging in. You know what I mean? Like, it's not that people choose between veganism and carnism. They never made a choice. They've been pushed into a choice. And it's an unethical choice, yes, because of what's happening to the animals, but it's also unethical because they haven't done any due diligence whatsoever to be carnist in without any kind of questioning. They just accept it, and that's unethical.
Yeah,
Because they've accepted carnism without any evidence that it's just.
I mean, a lot of the times I do question them. Why do they think it's healthy to be a carnist? Because I feel like a lot of people think they just take it as a given. What do you mean it's healthy? Of course it's healthy. Like they always question the healthiness of vegan, like, or plant-based diets, but they don't question the healthiness of an omni diet. Like, why do you already assume that this one is healthy, so I go by that when it comes to that? But ethically speaking, yeah, you're right, maybe that's also one, right? Like the fact that you haven't questioned the ethics of what you eat may already be something unethical on its own.
Yeah, so like the way Clifford talks about this is on a ship. The captain, he doubts that he sees the ship and he doubts his vessel is seaworthy, right? And he looks at it and he starts thinking about it. He prays the doubt away. He has motivated reasoning because he needs to get to someplace with his ship. And so the ship sails and it sinks and everyone dies because he didn't try to do any kind of evidence-based investigation. He didn't try to he just accepted that the boat was seaworthy. He prayed about it, and then when he went to sea, everyone died. So the man is guilty not just of like the sinking ship, but of believing without sufficient evidence that the ship would sail safely. And so the guilt's identical whether or not the ship sinks, I guess, is the point. That he's what he's done is unethical regardless of whether everybody dies. The wrongness is the process and not the outcome. And I think that there's something there for a lot of other points that we try to go through on this show and you in the street.
So are you safe to say that Christians are unethical because they believe without sufficient evidence?
Believing in a God without sufficient evidence. Okay, but here's the thing. There's a get out of jail free card for some Christians. Because, well, I wouldn't say Christians, for some God believers. Because to me, I think a Christian is just a person who follows the teachings of Christ. I think this whole thing about Christians believing in Noah and the ark.
Wait, so can somebody, just to be clear what you mean by Christian, if somebody doesn't believe that Jesus Christ was a God, but still follows what Jesus Christ said, are they still a Christian?
That's what I think is the original definition of Christian. I think
Okay.
where we are today, that like what you just said, no one would agree, right? In 2026, no one would agree. I think the original definition of Christian is someone who follows the philosophy of Jesus Christ. All that good stuff, like blessed are the peacemakers, meek shall inherit the earth, all that good stuff, charity, compassion, mercy, sacrifice. But what it means today is like he's God, Jesus is God, and that he turns your red lights to green lights when you pray hard enough, and you're going to heaven if you believe in him, and you're allowed to do whatever you want as long as you ask him for forgiveness. I think all that's like extra shit they did later. But so it doesn't have to be a Christian thing is my point. Anyone who believes in God without actually asking the question, okay, well, why is there a God? Like, but a lot of people do. A lot of people who believe in God, they do ask, like, well, what evidence do I
they
have
don't.
of this? So, a lot of people do.
No, come on. There is no Christian out there that says, okay, but why is the Christian God true and not the Muslim God true?
That's not
They
what I
always
said.
shit.
Forget about Christian, Muslim, and all that other bullshit. the idea that there's a God at all, it's very hard to have any evidence of that, right? But through
There's no
Gedanken,
evidence. Yeah.
through Gedanken experiments, there is some evidence, right? If you think about there's a
No.
Big Bang or something, what was before the Big Bang?
What
Sure.
was before the existence of God? You can say the same.
Yeah,
If
you
you
can
say
keep
God
going.
always exists, if you say God always existed, then you can also say the universe always existed. Who says there has to be something before the Big Bang?
I don't know. It just seems like you're having one or the other. I mean, well, who says there isn't something before the Big Bang? I think there has
I
to be
don't think
something
there
before
was
the Big
something
Bang.
before Big Bang.
So you're just like a God believer.
No, I don't think there was anything before the Big Bang. I think
But God
time.
believers don't think that there was anything before God.
Sure, but I'm not like a God believer because I don't believe in a supernatural thing. I don't
Okay, but
believe in magic.
there's not sufficient evidence for either, but both of you are asking a question, and that is something that allows you to be an ethical person because you are investigating these things. You are thinking about those things.
Well, I am thinking about it, and I'm willing to change my mind when presented with better options. Like, for example, I also would agree with the multiple universes, with the infinite universe that keeps repeating itself. I'm okay with a lot of theories, but they're not, are they? God created Earth. That's it. That's it. God created the
Open-mindedness
world.
is not what we're talking about, and anti-theologians like yourself, I mean, they do tend to like theologists and those guys. They tend to think about these things in more simplistic terms, but also theologians who go and study this, they are asking some pretty serious questions about God, and they try to poke holes in their stuff, and they get to the same conclusions somehow. But again, it's through confirmation bias and all that stuff, and
Yeah.
But here we go. A hate speaker Sargon of Akkad says believing weird stuff is fundamental to human existence as carbon. We've been doing this for 200,000 years. I don't think so. We're doing fine-ish. Ethics don't matter. We haven't been doing anything for 200,000 years. I don't know how the hell you got to 200,000 years. Humanity as we know it isn't 200,000 years old. But
Well,
still
the
cool.
reason why we look for things, this idea that we've been believing in things that don't exist, is one of the theories that I think it's very valid is we developed this sense of, without even looking, of analyzing what by sound or everything, trying to analyze what's going on so that it's a survival mechanism, right? Like you hear leaves ruffling, you think it's an animal who will come to you, right? That's a survival mechanism that we developed over the years. But the problem is when there's no leaf ruffling, when there's nothing there, you create meaning. Your brain automatically creates meaning out of nothing. And especially when you're a person who's not well enough stimulated, because we forget that the brain needs stimulation, a lot of stimulation, right? Like
Yes, it needs practice. You need to flex that muscle, right?
it needs stimulation. I need more than I would call it more than anything. Like you either watch something and shut it off, as a lot of people do today, or learn and do something about it, right? Don't just
Okay.
if you're just going to be sitting there, your brain's going to want to do something.
Okay,
So
well,
and it's going to invent things.
consider this with the religion argument as well, though. Modern propaganda is religion has been it has been propaganda, right? It used to be illegal for people to read the Bible in English. It was illegal to have a Bible in English because people who didn't speak Latin weren't allowed to who couldn't read and write Latin weren't allowed to access the Bible. Wonder why? Maybe because they'll find the weird parts. Modern propaganda operates. This is Jacques Ellul. The formation of men's attitudes in 1962. Modern propaganda operates below the level of conscious reason. It conditions the emotional environment in which conclusions are drawn. You cannot individually reason your way out of it. So does that make it? Does that let you off the hook because you're a victim of propaganda? Does that make you an ethical person? Like the guy at the boat, right? The guy in the
So
boat.
are we saying, are ignorant people ethical, right? That's what we're asking.
Is ignorance an excuse for unethical behavior? Yeah.
I think it can be, yeah.
Yeah, so like if a person is susceptible to the modern propaganda of animal production and is inundated with 10,000 ads every day in America, does that mean that they're perfectly ethical to go and buy McDonald's?
Yeah, I think they are. I think they just don't like. I don't think, for example, right? Like, if every time I drink a sip of water because let's imagine there exists a God, right? And this God is just such an asshole that every time I drink a sip of water, a child dies. And I never know that, then obviously, how could I be held accountable for it? Because I never knew it, right? But the minute that I know is the minute that I can be held accountable for it.
Yeah, they call this like an asymmetric war, like your cognitive abilities and your ability to ask that question. Because even if you did ask the question, oh, I'm drinking this water, I wonder if anyone is going without water. I wonder if anyone is being killed for this water. And you can't actually get the evidence, it's being purposely obfuscated, then the epistemic playing field is not level, right? You aren't able to have that knowledge. You're not able to synthesize that knowledge. It's being kept from you. And so you're bound to lose that every time.
Yeah.
And it's like but then that structural disadvantage is a form of harm, right? So that now the system again is the one we're always coming back to this, right? It's always that Miranda Fricker in The Ethics of Knowing in 2007 said, in testimonial injustice, credibility wrongly deflated by identity, and hermeneutical injustice lacking the concepts to understand one's situation. Yeah. You don't have the ability to understand your situation, and because of who you are, your ability and your credibility can be deflated. So, like, if a black person gets up in a room and says, this is what's happening, they might not be believed because they're black, and even though they're right. And so your ignorance, again, makes you an ethical person. Ah, it's so tough.
Yeah. So ignorance makes you ethical. Yeah, I don't think. It's also why I think even the Christians got it wrong, or all the religions got it wrong, because a lot of them say the same thing, right? Like, if you didn't know of the existence of God, you're going to go to heaven, right? Because why would God punish somebody who didn't know about God, right? Like,
Well, the
that would be
Catholics say
insane.
if you don't know, you go to
Purgatory.
purgatory. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, outside of Catholics, let's say, right? But the whole point is then it all becomes as a thing as, why would you then inform anyone of God? Because the minute you inform them, you essentially give them a risk that they will go to hell. If you don't inform them, then they have 100% chance of going to heaven.
And so your job as an outreacher is to inform them so that they have ethical responsibility.
Well, no. If the goal is to get people to heaven, then the goal would be to not inform them, because if they're not informed, then their chances of going to heaven are higher. So yeah, when it comes to, not that I subscribe to any of this because it's silly, the reason why we inform people of ethics, the reason why we don't accept ignorance, is because sometimes ignorance comes with repercussions, right? Comes with consequences. I wouldn't have a problem with somebody being ignorant if there was no consequence for their ignorance. In fact, I would say, for example, if the wife cheats on the husband, or the husband cheats on the wife, and it's a one-off thing, and they know for a fact that it will never happen again. They have this future machine that can predict the future, and they know that 100% sure they're never going to happen again. Then I think telling the wife, or telling the husband, telling the partner would be wrong, because the consequences would be bad, right? So I think it's better if the partner remains ignorant to it, because then they wouldn't suffer for no reason.
But then you're then involved in deprivation, right? You are involved in epistemic deprivation. You're depriving them of the ability to lead an ethical life. You're depriving them of their agency. And I think that's the bigger sin here. So, like, working class voters, right? They might vote for Donald Trump because they have a rational history of institutional betrayal, right? They know that the system is screwing them, and this guy comes along and says, "I'm not part of the system. I'm totally different. Okay, I'm totally different." And so their distrust leads to irrational conclusions. they become more credulous. Man. And so because someone presents themselves like that, they're depriving you of your ability to lead an ethical life.
Because why are they depriving you of your ability to live an ethical life?
Because they are engaged in depriving you of epistemic epistemology. You're unable to create thoughts that stand up to scrutiny, of this Cliffordian idea of my of the Cliffordian idea that I'm able to
But they're just
that it would
making them
be
ignorant.
that it would be wrong to accept something without evidence. It's
Well,
unethical to accept something without evidence.
they're just making them ignorant, right? That's what you're saying.
Well, like ignorance. So I'm looking at this thing from Fricker, Miranda Fricker, in The Power of Ethics and Knowing in 2007. She says that it's not stupidity or ignorance, but epistemic deprivation. Someone who lacks the conceptual tools to understand their own situation. And that's something like with my channel. And also when I did outreach out in around the country, when I was traveling around the country talking to people, I was confronted with the fact that people lacked the cognitive tools. They don't have the ability, the conceptual tools to even question authority, or question what's going on. And that's but that's by design. They've been intentionally deprived of that. You know what I mean?
Okay. Yeah.
So,
well,
that
would be unethical what they're doing. Yeah.
But what you're describing is the same, isn't it? Saying you're not going to tell somebody something because they might feel bad is unethical because you're depriving them of those same conceptual tools. You're stripping of them of their agency.
You're not, because you're not. This isn't a situation. Like, not all situations are created equally, right? Like, don't you have situations when you wish you didn't know something? There's always situations when you wish you didn't know something. There's always information that you don't always want to know.
I mean,
and if somebody just serves you, it's not like you're deprived of, like, if you know or whether know or not know whether your partner one time cheated on you, maybe even accidentally, maybe they even got drunk or stupid, whatever happened, doesn't really matter. You being deprived of that information does not make you inferior in any way. In fact, it might make you better because
not
you don't have to focus on this.
It deprives me of the proper tools to make a decision whether or not I want to stay with that person. It doesn't.
Because you want to stay with that person.
But maybe I wouldn't, because I don't know that she's the type of person that goes and gets drunk and gets laid without me, and I didn't know. Like,
why wouldn't you though?
If I'm in the dark,
I don't care. Like, if somebody cheats, it's not the worst thing in the world, is it?
For you, that's up to you.
No, well, it's not that it's for me or up to me. It's that if somebody does it like as an accident or something and they're genuinely sorry, I don't see why I don't see why I would have a problem being with that person. Like, the reason why I'm with somebody is because I enjoy their presence and everything. I'm not going to enjoy their, like, obviously I would have some trust issues afterwards.
Personal, Chip. You're talking about for yourself, but that's not what your hypothetical describes. If I have a wife, let's say, someone that I've signed paper with, right? I have a wife, and she goes and cheats on me with somebody in a bar, in the pub toilet. She cheats on me, and you know it, but I don't. It's my decision whether or not I want to stay with someone who fucks somebody on the toilet while they're married to me, and you're keeping that from me because you're afraid it's going to hurt my feelings. And yeah, that might seem like you're saving me from damage, but what you're actually doing is depriving me of the tools I need to express my own agency.
I don't think I have a problem with calling this depriving you with the tools you need to express your own agency. I guess, let's put it this way, Sky. If you're the person who says, I want to know, then you're right. Somebody not telling you would be depriving you. But if you're the type of person who says, I don't know if every situation is equal, like, because I'm also the type of person who says I want to know, but I also acknowledge that I don't always want to know, right? So maybe sometimes not knowing is better. So this idea that, like, I don't know if you understand what I mean. And I'm not like I see people already attacking me in the chat saying some bullshit thing. I'm not talking about me telling somebody about it or not. I'm talking about you, between you and your partner, right? That's all we're talking about. You and your partner.
It's between me and
Not
my partner,
nobody.
but
Yeah,
you're
nobody
not
else
letting
involved in
me.
there.
Yeah, but you're not letting me make that decision because you know something that I don't, and you're keeping it from me. You're active. You're basically
Me
a
being your
propagandist at
partner.
that point. No,
Me being.
you being a third party. You were just at the bar. You saw her fuck the dude on the
Oh no,
toilet.
I don't know. That's unethical. No. So if you're a third party, you need to say.
But if you're the cheating party, you don't. That's
If you're a
unethical
cheating
too.
party, it becomes more complex. Yeah.
If you're the cheating party, you are also still robbing me of my agency. That's the worst part of it. It is impossible to be ethical, says Solar Punk Vegan. As a lone individual, being ethical requires holding others accountable. It's not impossible to be ethical. It's a journey.
Yeah, but what I'm trying to say, Sky, is when you're the cheating person, let's say, and you don't know whether to say it or not, it's a little bit different, right? Like when you're on the outside, you don't know what the situation is, and it's best to just tell the truth. It's best to be honest, right? That's the whole thing. But when you're the person who cheated, as I told you, if you did it by accident, if something happens, like you can understand,
Yeah.
hell, you fucking tripped and your dick went into someone. I don't know. That would be fucking ridiculous. That would be really ridiculous. But, you know, I don't know what happened, man. You were drugged. I don't know. Something
You
happened
don't
and
need
you
the
did
crazy
it.
hypotheticals. You know why? Because it's unethical not to tell me. Because I've said this to so many women that I've been in relationships with. I'm like, hey, I don't know if we're serious or not, but let's just say this. In this modern age of disease and all the rest, why don't we just make a deal that if we want to be with somebody else or have sex with somebody, or if we do have sex with somebody else, we need to tell the other
funny.
person.
Yeah, but that's and that's fine. If you have that deal, you're 100% right, and you should tell it, right? However, I personally would not make that deal. You understand what I mean? Like you not hold it, the reason why it would be unethical for you to not tell your partner is not because they would what you said. It would be unethical because you made a deal with them to tell them even in those situations, and you should tell them
But the
even in those
reason
situations.
why,
That's why
man,
it would be unethical.
the
Not because
reason
they're
why is
withholding you
because
of some tools for agency or something.
they
No,
are.
it's
That's
because
the whole problem is that they're holding those. If somebody cheats on me, that's up to me if I want to be with them, not up to them. And so if they hide it from me, they're depriving me of the cognitive tools that I need
but
to
you're not
make that
understanding
decision.
that you're not understanding what I'm trying to describe to you, are
I
you?
do. You're
Like,
you're
no,
justifying lying.
I'm not, because yet again, I'm not trying to so I had so many conversations today. I don't know if I want to keep having this conversation right now. I'm done with. I'm so tired of having contradictory conversations. I'll explain it to you simply, Sky. If you make a deal with your partner
Simplify it,
and
man.
both of
Very
you,
stupid, man.
no, but like I know we want like clear and simple answers that apply to all situations, but not everything applies to all situations. And my whole point is saying, yes, okay, majority of cases you should say it, but there can be situations when saying it will only make you bad and them bad. So it would be selfish for you to say it. There are situations when it would actually be selfish for you to say it.
Yeah.
I
So this is
understand you may not think of it that way, but there are situations when
this
it
is
could be selfish.
this is Peter Singer's argument for why he's allowed to abuse women and not tell his wife. He has a harem of
But that's
women
not
outside
it.
of his. He has a harem of women
How am
outside
I
of his
saying
marriage.
it's allowed to abuse women? You're fucking pissing me off now.
He has a harem of women outside of his marriage.
God damn it, Sky.
And so then he says, "Hey, I get pleasure out of this. Most of these women get pleasure out of this, and it would cause suffering if I tell my wife." And so since I'm a utilitarian, and I think
It's not
joy
about
should
being a
outweigh.
utilitarian.
It is. You are making
No,
utilitarian
it's about
argument.
it's
So
Sky.
you
It's
don't
about
want to
yet
cause
again.
suffering, and so
Nope,
lying.
not at all. Okay, so let me
Lying, if
explain
it
it to you.
prevents
No,
suffering,
not
is
at all.
good.
No, not at all. Yeah, and sometimes lying to prevent suffering is good, right? Like you would lie. Lying sometimes can be good, right? You would lie to the Nazis to hide a Jewish person, right? You would lie
Yeah.
to save a person. Why wouldn't you lie to make sure your partner is good? Like, let me put it this way, Sky. I'll draw you a hypothetical
because it is
scenario.
unethical
Sky,
to
you
rob
die
them
tomorrow.
of the
No, Sky.
cognitive tools.
Sky, you die tomorrow and you cheat on your wife today. Is there any purpose of you telling your wife that you cheated on her? Honestly.
So if I kill myself after I cheat on my wife,
no,
then
I'm asking you, Sky.
Scot-free.
No, Sky, I'm asking you genuinely. If you know for a fact that you're going to die tomorrow and you cheat on your wife today, would it be ethical to tell your wife that you cheated on her?
It takes away something here because I'm not.
I don't think it would be ethical. I think it would be unethical.
It's a totally different scenario because in that scenario.
But that's what I'm saying. It's not always the same. That's what I'm trying to explain.
Yes, but what I'm saying is that person who doesn't know they've been cheated on, they're staying with the person who cheated on them, and they don't know, and so they're unable to make a real decision. They're living in ignorance. They're deprived of that's epistemic deprivation, and it's unethical. It's propaganda.
Okay.
Hannah Arendt.
But, okay, let me make it in a different scenario.
It's political lying, dude. It's political lying.
It's not.
I don't want.
Let me put it in a different sense. What do you call cheating? Do you think flirting is cheating?
It depends. Look, man, I'm not saying I don't want to get into what is cheating. I'm trying to.
Because I can make my point with this. Is flirting cheating or not?
Go ahead.
Is flirting cheating?
As for some people, it is. Let's pretend it is for me. Sure.
Okay. For example, if flirting is not cheating for you, but you know that if you tell your partner that, hey, I flirted with somebody else, it would harm them, right? There would be no issue. There would be no reason for you to try to harm your partner.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying. That's all I'm like. Again, I'm the type of person. First of all, I've never cheated, and I will never. I'm not. I don't see the point in cheating. You can just get rid of a partner and move to another if you want to do that. But there are situations when being ignorant, when trying to keep somebody ignorant, is better for them. Not necessarily for you, because it might eat you up. Like the guilt might eat you up inside. It's far harder to live with guilt than it is to not.
With that logic, we should not be telling people about what happens inside of slaughterhouses, because that is something that harms them to know.
No, because there's a victim in that situation.
There's a victim in this situation.
Who's the victim in this situation?
The person who doesn't know.
How are they the victim?
Because they cannot make a decision whether or not they want to stay with me, even though I go to bars and flirt with other girls.
But I don't.
Because
whatever.
they might
I'm not gonna say that because I don't feel like they're
them.
a victim. I don't feel like they're a victim though.
You don't.
I wouldn't call them a victim.
They're a victim of epistemic deprivation. Okay, let me talk about Hannah Arendt. I want to keep going because we're not going to be able to get through this topic.
And somebody says consent. This has nothing to do with consent, by the way. But let's move on.
Maybe it does have something to do with consent. It kind of has something to do with
consent. Come on.
But it's not better to. So Leah Wilbert says it's not better to keep someone ignorant, and I would say about anything. I would
say sometimes it's better to keep some people ignorant. Yeah.
I completely disagree. This is how the government gets away with so much shit. Let's keep.
No, come on. But the Sky. This is what pisses me off. You can't say the government lying to you is the same as some situations where it's okay to lie.
Political lying is what you're talking about, and I want to bring in
Hannah
Arendt, one of my favorite philosophers.
Lying.
One of my favorite philosophers. Political lying is different from ordinary deception because it's not an error; it's a systematic assault of the shared reality. You see, and I think that the goal of a totalitarian propaganda is not to convince people of specific lies; it's to make them unable to distinguish lies from the truth. They're unable to figure out, they're unable to make decisions, so they just go along with stuff.
If my ex-girlfriend now tells me that she cheated on me, I'll say thank you for not telling me.
Well, that's already over. Right now, you don't have any way to. That's not the point when it's already over. I'm saying when you're still in a relationship, it's my decision whether or not I want to stay with someone who cheated on me. So if I don't know, then I can't make that decision.
I get that. Obviously my example was bad one, right? Because when it comes to cheating, yeah, you should always tell it. It's very rare cases when you shouldn't.
I mean, if you
can understand
for
example, with the example of flirting, there's no reason why you would tell anybody, hey, I went and flirted with somebody, because everyone flirts from time to time.
I was with a girl, and we broke up, and I thought it was a little was a little weird how we broke up, but it wasn't working out, right? We were together for a few years, and then later on, someone sends me something that she had a baby, and I find out that she had a baby with a guy who she met at the job she had when she was with me. And I have to think, did she cheat on me with that guy while we were still together, or did she start a relationship with him after we were together? Now, of course, this was, I found out about it 5 years later or something like that. But so what she did, she might have just cheated on me and then abandoned ship because she couldn't deal with the guilt. That could have happened. And that's actually not bad. She's like, I'm pulling the cord. But if she stayed with me and I didn't know, and she never told me, and I never got to decide whether or not I wanted to be with somebody who was cheating on me with someone at work, that's unethical. But now that seeing as how I still don't know to this day. I don't know. I have inklings, but I don't know. So now it doesn't matter because we're both separated. She can't do anything to me. She can't keep me in a place she can't keep me tied to something without me making a decision, right? There is no decision to be made.
I think it depends. I like what Jackie Boyle says. I think it depends on whether you're protecting yourself or the other person. That was my whole point I'm trying to make. Sometimes you're trying to protect the other person. And are you acting unethical by trying to do that? I don't know. I don't think it's as easy as saying yes. That's my whole point. I don't know. I also don't know if it's unethical sometimes to hide some things for the sake of the others. But sometimes, when you hide things for the sake of the other person, it may also eat you up inside. Like, it's not necessarily that it's the easiest choice for you to hide, right? Like, we make this whole point. Like, that's what I was trying to say.
Yeah,
we
but
make
I'm
this whole point of saying if you're hiding, it means you're doing it for yourself. You're selfish or something. No, sometimes you hide because you want to protect the other person. Is it the right thing? It's a little bit more complex than that. It's
that's
not
an assault on
yes
our
or
shared
no.
reality. You're assaulting our shared reality. If there's a victim in this, that could be it. That is something. My deliberation requires a shared reality, and you're depriving me of that. And that's the same thing that propagandists
I don't want to
do.
know, Sky. I know that whatever partner I have will flirt with somebody. I don't want to know when they flirted with somebody. They're not depriving me of anything.
No, but if you're saying it's okay to surrender the project of knowing, and I think that's
Some
unethical.
things, yeah. Some things, yeah. That's the whole thing about a relationship, isn't it? You don't have to know everything that your partner does. You don't have to know everything that they
You
do.
need to have
You
a
just
shared
trust
reality.
them. You just have to trust them that at the end of the day, regardless of what they do, you are their better half. You are the ones that they come to. Isn't that the whole point?
No,
Like
because that means
isn't it about trust?
that means whoever broadcasts the strongest emotional signal wins. This is how propaganda
What do
works.
you mean by that?
Like whoever shows the most love in any given situation wins the struggle over shared reality. And you don't actually have a shared reality because they know something that
I don't.
they know something that's depriving you of making your own decisions. You're right. I don't need to know everything that goes on in a partner's head or something, but I need to know I need to know so much so that we can actually share a life together and we can actually I could consent to being with that person. You know what? I agree. You're depriving that person by hiding shit. You are depriving that person
I'm
of
not saying
consenting
hiding
to be
shit.
with you.
I'm not saying hiding shit. I'm saying, first of all, again, the reason why you're hiding, like for instance, let me put it this way, right? There were situations in my previous relationship when the mother of my partner said some mean things about her. Why would I tell my partner that? It would only serve to hurt her. Eventually, they mended the relationships. Like, why the fuck would I say that whatever mean stuff, like their part, like it's like saying, well, if you're not going to every time you fight with somebody, you're not going to let go and say all the mean stuff you want, then you're not in a true relationship. That's not true. Sometimes it's good to hold off on some things if you're doing it for your
saying
partner.
that sometimes we can be tactful. Being tactful is not hiding fundamental truths that can literally make
That's
or
what I'm
break my
saying.
decision. So like the guy looking at the boat, who cares if the little brass knob isn't polished? No, but there's a hole in the bottom of the boat. And if he just keeps praying and somebody's like, oh, the boat's fine, trust me, then you get on the boat and you die.
Yeah,
And it's
but
unethical because you didn't know that the boat was someone was hiding the fact that there was a hole in the boat.
yeah, okay, but like a hole in the boat is a different thing, right?
I
Like,
know that's what you keep on making these weird examples of like, well, if someone's mom says something mean about them, I don't want to necessarily tell them that because it'll make them feel bad. Well,
yeah,
the mom saying something mean about them might not might not be something that's like will shape their well again will strip them of their agency. Keeping that from them doesn't strip them of their agency, doesn't strip them of the consent of whether or not they want to keep going. You know,
okay,
if
well, if you okay, Sky, if you go on a run and you have to shit and you accidentally shit yourself because there's nowhere to shit as you're coming back
we've
home,
all been there.
do you have to tell your partner that? Is there any reason? Well, you because if you're not telling your partner that, you're stripping them of their agency on whether to know whether they want to be with you or not because you shit
Because I
yourself.
shit my pants on the in the marathon.
Yeah, there you go. See, it's not everything you have to say. That's kind of my whole point. And I think like us just painting everything with a brush of oh, you're an unethical for not telling them. Oh, you're like, hey, let's not jump to conclusions.
To be honest
Everybody's
with you,
life is a
Chip,
little bit
if
different
I
and
ran a
relationships are
marathon,
fucking complex.
if I ran a marathon and I had a wife and I shit myself running
I
that
would also tell
marathon,
them, yeah.
I can't
I would also
imagine not telling them.
It would be pretty funny to tell. I
I
would
would
also
tell
say,
them.
don't get me wrong.
Yeah, yeah. Johnny Vegan says he would tell him. I would tell him.
I would also say, like, obviously, you want a partner who you can share this kind of stuff with, right? Because that would be funny as fuck.
Yeah, Bedford Berlin says you have to tell your mom right away on the phone. It's funny because since my mom died, I went through a breakup, or going through a breakup, I guess. But it's the first time without having my mom. It's the first time breaking up with somebody without having my mom, and holy shit, that's
I
a
think
that's a
I think I just have a problem with vilifying people. I just have a problem with that, right? That's all my whole thing.
yeah. You
Especially
always
when
want
it
to.
especially when it comes to relationships, right? Because like relationships are extremely complex. Like they are just plain and simple, right? To say that, well, this person is in the wrong because they did this one thing, maybe they were, but maybe they were driven by another wrong thing by this other person, right? Like it's so easy again to paint the brush and say, well, they're the villain or something, right? That's my whole point. I hate it when we create villains out of people in relationships. Sometimes some people actually are villains, right? Like some abusive people are fucking villains. People who cheat on their partners are fucking villains, especially if they do it unfounded, right? Like, I don't know if their partners fucking force them to cheat on them or something, right? I don't know, but like
I guess
my
like
whole point.
the partner thing, it's always hard because interpersonal relationships are tough. But with the Cliffordian
Yeah.
ethics, like Clifford saying that it's always what did it say? It's wrong always, everywhere, and for anyone to believe anything upon insufficient evidence. And so, like the thing here is that it's not about having certainty before belief. It's talking about honest engagement, right? And in using available evidence. And of course, I bring in the other philosophers because they're like, well, what if you're in a system where they're purposefully keeping it from you? Then the system is the one that's being unethical, not the person who doesn't have it. But the test of Cliffordian ethics is that did you try to achieve certainty? Not that did you achieve certainty, but did you try? And I think that in relationships we're always trying. I don't know if you're like this, but I do. I'm like, does she love me? Is this real? Am I good enough? I mean, all these questions I think people ask themselves when they're with other people. And it's a constant negotiation, you know? And
Yeah.
so I think we're always trying that, and maybe you're right that there's that. I think the
I
reason
think
why we have
relationships
friction,
are complex.
right? And when the reason we have friction on this is because there is that negotiation constantly at play. But I think my core thesis stands because if you're actively keeping somebody from having that negotiation, from able to try, that would be you are now involved in political lying. That's no different from the United States government saying, well, it's better if people just don't know about, I don't know, the meteor headed towards Earth. You know what I mean? It's just better for them not to know because they might go crazy if we found out. Let's keep it from them.
I think the reason why you're lying matters a lot, Sky. I think like if you're again, like I think if you're doing it in your interest, then yeah, you're 100% right.
That
But
is But that's oppression.
But for example,
it's
but for example,
oppression
even
to
the
choose that for
government.
somebody else.
Well, even the government, for example, lying about, for example, the number of deaths or stuff like that to not create mass chaos. I don't think that's not necessarily bad. Like
It's absolutely bad because it keeps us from making our own decisions. It's oppression.
but that's the thing about it, Sky. There is such a thing. Like that's like completely neglecting human nature because we have mob mentality. There is stupidity. That's why a lot of the time some things are kept from people. That's why, like, I
Mob
feel like
mentality. It's so funny. People always say this stuff about mob mentality.
if you yell
Every time
fire in a theater, you're gonna fucking scare everyone off, right? That's why
you
you
might
need.
cause a stampede. But man,
Yeah,
I don't know about this. People always say if you yell fire, there will be a stampede. People say that shit. But yesterday there was a shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, and nobody stampeded. Literally, literally gunfire
but
at
they
the
were
ballroom.
but they were there was outside of the ballroom as far as I know, and
It was very.
they
Everyone heard it though. It was
they
on camera. I saw it on camera. Everyone heard those gunshots.
yeah, but it
And
wasn't every man for himself. There were people there who took them out, right?
and
That was the whole thing.
I've been in situations where there's gunfire and people tend to run, they get skittish, but there's not mob mentality where mayhem ensues and everyone grabs the chips off the poker table and everyone goes. It's not like that. Like I was at the shooting, a couple shootings in Las Vegas. And one time there was a shooting at a boxing thing, and you know what? They lied. They said that wasn't a shooting. It was one of the X-ray machines falling over, and that's not true. It was a shooting, and people freaked, but nobody was like, it's just not real. The story that like people, and so when people say like, oh well, there's riots. Well, there are riots, but it's usually because the government fucks us, like the riots, the L.A. riots during Rodney King. It's because they didn't punish the police that beat the shit out of him. It's a failure of the government, and it causes mob action. You know.
I do think the government should be transparent. Don't get me wrong. I think the government should be 100% transparent. I just don't think 100% transparency means you knowing everything that happens in the government at all times.
I can't believe it's always shocking to me when people like you tell me that that you like it that the government keeps things from us.
I don't want to give. I think you misunderstood what I said. I clarified it. I hope it was clear to you. Again, I want 100% transparency. I just don't think 100% transparency means you knowing everything all at the same time.
That's what 100% transparency is. It's like I know that they tell me everything. I have access to everything that they're doing with my money and access with what's going on.
Okay, then 99.99. I can't put a percentage. I want transparency, full transparency, but I don't think I want transparency to the point that every single person in US can know everything that the government does. I just not because when we say the government, because look at what happened with the meeting with Zelensky, between Trump and Zelensky. Did you see that meeting?
Yeah.
Do you know why that meeting was fucked up?
Because he told him to wear a suit? I don't know why.
Outside of that, obviously, outside of Trump being fucking stupid.
Tell me.
Because that was one of the first meetings when the press was allowed in during the negotiations. Sometimes the negotiations are fucked up. Sometimes people say stupid shit in negotiations. I don't think all people around should be like, oh, I want to know exactly what was said in the negotiation. No, you should know the final thing of it, and if you're not okay with it, say something to it. But knowing the whole details doesn't serve anyone.
It's just so
I'm
crazy.
just like, I can find situations.
But listen,
That's
in
all I'm
order to
saying.
get to what you're saying, you have to trust somebody to be this paternalistic daddy figure.
But isn't that what the government is?
No, that's exactly the problem. Paternalism is one of the problems because you have to have some paternalism, like wear your seatbelt, says the government. But honestly, most paternalism can be tossed out the window. We don't need it, and it's something that the government.
What's the purpose of the government if not you elect them and trust them to do what you elected them for?
They're not. That's not shit we elected them to do. Keep shit from us. Keep secrets from us.
I never said keep shit from you. They're gonna do shit, but you don't have to know every detail of shit.
See what I mean?
Especially during the shitting.
I'm like.
Sky, so Sky, if you knowing the details of shit, by the way, your camera's gone.
Oh shit. Keep talking. I'll be right back.
if you knowing the details, if you knowing the details of a very important thing that could help the government would endanger that thing in the government, why would you why would you need to know it if it would endanger it, if it would
If
endanger everyone? Like, why would you need to
if
know
a
the
secret,
identity
because
of all
Chip,
the agents in the government?
if a secret endangers the government, then that government is
No, endangers the people.
the people of the government. You're
No, the
telling me that
people
like
of the country.
the government's up to shady shit, and if that's an illegitimate government, that government is unethical. It's doing shady shit. It's doing violent shit. It's keeping secrets from us, and you're like,
Okay,
well,
let's
they
just
gotta
go with
keep
absolute.
secrets.
Let's just be absolutist then, Sky. The government always lies. The government is always unethical, because it seems like we cannot possibly have any form of relative truth here. We're always just going to be, it's absolutely good or bad. That's what we've been doing this whole
Well,
episode, and
I
I'm
don't,
getting
because you
tired.
always are okay with the government being like all in my shit, and I'm not.
No, I'm just not.
I'm an
I'm just don't
anarchist,
think
and I
it's.
don't like the government always. Like
I just don't think. I think the purpose of the government is that you elect somebody to enact policies. That's why they're called politicians, because they enact policies. And I think that there needs to be some form of trust, because if the whole point of view, like, yeah, obviously you should be able to hold them accountable to everything that they do, and you should have the details of everything. But I think some things, you knowing the details as they're happening, may be to your detriment and to the detriment of that policy.
Listen to what you
That's
said.
what I'm trying to say.
You
I acknowledge that some things are more complex than, oh, we got to know everything all at the same time, because some people don't know how to handle information. That's what I'm trying to explain.
We elect them as an expeditious measure. We don't elect them to be our fathers. We don't elect
But I'm
them
not
to tell
ever
us
saying
what
you
to
said
do.
fathers. I don't care about
Because
fathers.
that's what you're saying. Because you
No.
talk. Yes,
I'm
you
not
did.
saying
in
fathers.
One sentence, in
No,
one
I'm not.
sentence, you said we elect them to be policy enactors, and in order
Yeah,
to do what we
That's
say.
not a father.
No, I know, but then you went further, and then you said, and they need to keep secrets from us and do things that to make sure that we stay in line. And it's like, that's a father figure that I don't need from the government.
No, it's not,
threaten
Sky.
violence if I
No,
find
it is
out
not.
secrets I'm not allowed to know. That I get my head chopped off if I know the secrets of the government.
Sky, when you go to a restaurant, do you trust that the chef will cook the meal for you? Do you need to know every step of the process of the meal? Do you need to know everything that happened there? I'm just like, that's exactly how I see
No,
it.
that's why we have health inspectors, in order to create that trust, right?
Yeah,
That's why
well,
we put
I think the government should also have fucking people investigating them and keeping them in check. I don't understand why this whole thing, like, the government is working for us. I don't like this idea of, like, I understand the government theoretically has power over us, but it's just a perk.
theoretically.
It shouldn't be something that they work for and work towards. That's a mishap, and that's a problem of seeing the government as that. The government works for us to enact policies that we need, that we want as a society, and they should be held accountable for the policies that they withhold. But that does not mean that the average Joe needs to know everything about everything at all times, because they may endanger, again, the life of certain policies which could help other people.
If knowing something endangers the life of people in my government, that government is up to no good.
No, the people in your country. Again, they endanger
my
the people
country.
in your country.
My countrymen are not at danger of me if I know something. They're not in danger of me if I know things. Like,
not you, Sky, but there are people who shouldn't know things. I understand, not you, but there's people. Come on, you gotta understand that there's people who don't understand things, right? Like, why do you think there are flat earthers?
It's always so funny because, every time there's a terrorist or something like that, they're not trying to, they're trying to wake people up about truths. And every single time that someone's called a terrorist, it's usually someone who's like, hey, pay attention to this thing that's happening that the government's hiding from you.
But I think you're being very disingenuous.
And then the government
this.
position, which is your position, is that the government needs to hide things so that people don't use information to hurt us.
You're being very disingenuous about this. I feel because
I'm not at
yeah,
all.
you are. Because you are because you're using a straw man, aren't you? And you're attacking the straw man because you're using a situation where governments do something that is clearly wrong.
You're the one who
you're using a
said-
situation that's clearly wrong, when the
What's wrong?
government does it, instead of actually thinking, are you saying that every single thing that the government does, the nuclear fucking codes, Sky, do people need to have access to the nuclear codes?
I don't think it would matter if they had the nuclear codes because they don't have
Should
the
the people
machines to
have
lock.
access to the nuclear codes?
Once we get to the point where we have where we have nuclear weapons, which is again unethical, honestly, fuck it. Have them give everyone the nuclear codes. I don't even give
And
a shit at
and
this
how
point.
to access them.
Yeah,
Right?
sure.
All the schematics, how to access the nuclear codes, how to call on the nuclear bomb, everything, right? We should tell people everything about
If the
that.
government wasn't doing secret shady shit, then they wouldn't need to keep the nuclear that we wouldn't have nuclear bombs like this. I guess yeah, you don't want to have everything in everyone's hands. Sure, Chip. That's a little bit of a but the fact that we have nuclear weapons, should that be a secret, Chip? Because it might make people very uncomfortable.
I don't think we should have nuclear weapons. I'm against nuclear weapons. I'm against weapons in general. I'm not the pro-weapon person here, Sky. I fucking hate weapons. I think there shouldn't be any militaries, any weapons. They're all fucking stupid. They're all just
But you'll defend the tools
ego
they use
things.
to exist. The reason why we have nuclear weapons, the reason why we have this over militarization and all of it, is because of the secrets our governments keep and the tools they use to oppress us. The
I
existence
don't think
of
that's
the
why
military,
we have them. I don't think secrets are the ones who created the nuclear weapons.
well, of course. I mean, they called it the Manhattan Project, and they
Yeah,
made
but
it
the Manhattan.
secretly in the
So wait,
desert.
are you saying that if the Manhattan Project was transparent, it wouldn't have happened?
That's a really good question. That's actually a good question, Chip. If the Manhattan Project were transparent and everyone knew that the United States government was working on an atomic weapon to vaporize hundreds of thousands of people at a time, and that we were going to give that trigger and that decision to one man only, and his name was going to be Harry Truman. I think that as a society, we would have had a conversation about whether or not it would be okay to vaporize Nagasaki and Hiroshima. And maybe,
Sure.
maybe,
I agree with you on
maybe
that one.
all those people wouldn't be dead.
I agree with you with the dropping of the bombs, but then again,
We
Sky.
might not have. We might not have.
But then
developed
again, Sky. How is it that the large percentage of Americans support the war in Iran now?
Say that again.
How is it that the large percentage of Americans support the war in Iran now?
A large percent, 75% of the country doesn't think we should be at war with Iran.
25% is a pretty fucking large percentage, man.
25%, I guess. I mean,
It's not the majority, but it's a large percentage of Americans support the war in Iran.
okay. 25% of Americans support the war in Iran.
Yeah, they have. Do they not have transparency? Do they not know the same amount of information we do?
Oh, well, that's exactly what I was trying to talk about before we got red herringed, which is like, no, they don't have the available. They are being deprived of epistemic ability because of their echo chambers, because of false narratives, because of Fox News, and they're stuck in this weird little bubble.
But they don't have to
because
be in
the
Fox
president
News.
lying, because of secrets being held by the government.
But they don't have to watch Fox News. They don't have to watch all that, do they?
No, but algorithmically they're being driven to those things. They're being forced into that. You could be stuck in the propaganda loop pretty easily, and especially if you were born and raised in a part of the country where critical thinking just was not a thing at all. Like you were raised in the church, you get told what to think, and that's perfect.
So information can be weaponized.
Yes, or deprivation of that information, which is my whole point of why transparency needs to be.
But no, because that's the whole thing you're missing out. I think like you're deprivating the information in this particular situation, because what you're saying is that they're suffering from deprivation of information, but that's not something you know for sure that that's the case. What we know for sure is that they were presented with information in a certain way, just like we were talking about the red and blue button, right? Depending on how you are presented with the information, you may reach different conclusions. So maybe they weren't actually deprived of information. Maybe they were just given information in a different way.
They were propagandized, which is exactly why this is exactly why my hair bristles when you say that it's sometimes okay to keep those types of secrets.
Yeah, because you see, information can be weaponized.
But information can be weaponized, but it's far more dangerous to the opacity is far more easily weaponized than information. Information Yes,
I
in the
give you
wrong
that. I
hands.
agree. I agree. Lack of information can be far easier weaponized than information itself.
Which is why I land on transparency being better than opacity. Opacity, living in a black box as an ignorant or a what was it, epistemologically deprived, because
But
you're
what
not
is it, for
stupid,
example? How do
you're
they see the war in Iran? I'm actually curious. Like, what is it that they're lacking? Do they think that the war in Iran? How do they make it? How do they think the war in Iran is
They think it's
justified?
about nukes.
They think it's about nukes.
Yeah.
But didn't they hear that their president said that there's no more nuclears before the war even started? Because that's what Trump said.
Our
Didn't Trump say
president,
that he nuked all the uranium enriching facilities?
our president got on TV last week and said the Pope wants Iran to have nukes. The Pope never said anything about Iran having nukes. Our
This
president
is
on TV saying the Pope wants Iran to have nukes.
this is just fucking lying at this point, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's misinformation. It's disinformation, not even misinformation, right? Because I don't think Trump is misinforming. I think he's clearly disinforming.
I love this. Snipey says we were propagandized by Iran. Iran has no power over you at all. You were told a story about Iran by an American outlet. You didn't go to Iran and talk to Iran about their nuclear program, Snipey. You were sold something just like you were sold Melania coin. You got sold Melania coin. And I don't blame you. That's the problem now, is that I can't blame anybody for being deprived of epistemic ability, or what was it called? Epistemic deprivation. That's what, yeah. It's not stupidity, it's epistemic deprivation. I really like it because people say things like ignorant and it makes you hurt. It hurts when someone calls you ignorant. But it's not that you're ignorant. It's that you've been epistemically deprived. Somebody has kept you from learning media literacy. That's the other thing, Chip, what I was trying to say before. Like, if you were raised in rural Tennessee and never learned media literacy, never taught about propaganda history, then you have nothing. You are not afforded scrutiny. You cannot scrutinize. It's literally impossible for you to watch the president.
So you're ignorant.
You're epistemically deprived. Yes, you're ignorant. Yes, I suppose. But ignorant sounds like it's your fault, and it isn't. It's not your fault, huh?
Ignorance just means you don't have the information.
I don't know. Ignorant to me sounds that you're right. That's what it means. You're right. But ignorance, I think, makes it seem like it's your fault. You're ignorant because you didn't go and read the right books.
Yeah, I don't.
But really, you're being willfully kept ignorant.
Oh, I see what you mean. That's a good way. Yeah.
Somebody is willfully depriving you of the tools needed, which is why I stopped doing the type of vegan outreach and stuff, because I don't think people even have the ability to scrutinize the animal production industry. They don't even know they're seeing 10,000 ads a day. They don't even know that every single day on the news they get a story fed to them by the animal propaganda industry. They don't even see any of that. And it's right there in front of them. But they've never been able to.
Yeah, I like this is the way. I like this. Yeah.
Here's a case study.
Ignorance is acceptable. Choosing it is not. Yeah. I agree.
Yes, that's a good. Okay, so check this out. This is real. In January 2024, AI generated audio of President Biden instructing New Hampshire voters not to vote in the Democratic primary was distributed as a robocall to tens of thousands of residents days before the election. The voice was convincing. It was fake. The message was politically targeted, and it was entirely fabricated. Okay? So under Clifford, were the people who believed it guilty? Were they unethical, the people who believed that robocall? Because I don't think they had the tools to know better. They don't have the tools to know better. And that's the issue, right? We're fed all this propaganda. If you don't have the tools to know better, you'll just believe it. It's not your fault.
Yeah.
Like if
don't
you're getting
blame
a call from
ignorant
Joe,
people.
huh?
I don't blame ignorant people. I blame the people who take advantage of ignorant people. Right? Like that's the problem. It's not I mean, obviously, ignorance is a problem, but we're all ignorant, Sky. There's nobody who isn't ignorant. It's impossible to not be ignorant about certain
Yeah,
things.
here's the thing about ignorance. It's not with Cliffordian ethics. It's not about whether or not you're ignorant. It's whether or not you are skeptical. I guess whether or not you're at least trying to, because like these, if you get a call from Joe Biden, you don't have audio forensics, right? And you don't have media literacy framework.
Yeah, sure. So you should be skeptical about it. You're right. No?
But you have to be skeptical. So like all these deep fakes, this is going to happen more and more, right? All these deep fakes coming out. We're going to be stuck in this constantly. We won't be able to trust anything. And I don't think that people are ready for it. People aren't ready to have.
No, of course not, because people don't know how to. Like, we need critical thinking in order to like, even with critical thinking, you're having difficulty acknowledging fakes and stuff like that, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's some that are so good that it's difficult even with critical thinking. But that's why I think that's why we need to trust. Like, we need to have authorities to trust, right? They don't have to be governmental authorities, just to be clear, but we need to have some form of authorities where we can trust, at least as a basis for everything, right? Like, for instance, why wouldn't you trust us for a basis of a medicine, a doctor, right? Like, stuff like that, right? Like, we need to have some like, if a post is made and it's fake news that says, I don't know, injecting bleach saves you. You trust the fucking authority in the matter, because you
But now
cannot
you
possibly
can't.
know. But you
Now
can't
you
trust
can't
doctors,
because
right? I mean,
RFK Jr. is in charge of the CDC. You can't trust
but the
anything.
RFK doesn't make doctors. Come on. RFK doesn't make doctors. The government doesn't make every single individual working in the government. I think
But
we've already won.
you say that, but most people, they don't have a choice to go to like, oh, let me investigate. And now they're being demanded. It's more be demanding of them more and more. Let me just look at the comment. No one told me steak was delicious. I ate steak and decided it was delicious. Snipey, it happened way before that. You were told that animals are property. You were told that it's okay to rape a cow and kill the baby cow. You were told all of that, or you weren't. It was already decided for you that slavery is okay and the product of that slavery is okay. Way before you ever got the steak on your plate. Way before someone took a piece of that animal and put it on there, you were propagandized. And you never even questioned it. You never even questioned whether or not an animal wants to live and breathe and be free. You never questioned what freedom means. You never questioned what slavery means. And that's because you were propagandized. You were deprived epistemological tools.
I think when you assess whether something is true or not, I think some authorities need to play a part in it. But obviously, some authorities you can trust. The sad thing is that the governmental authorities, especially now in the US, we see that they're untrustworthy because of that, right? So, for example, I used to call the CDC trustworthy. I'm not sure anymore because of RFK.
But what's scary is that we're entering a point in history where nothing will be trustworthy.
Well, no, we still have authorities that are trustworthy.
We have the president of the United States putting
not political authorities.
AI shit out that's trying to be passed as real. We have false
not political authorities, but you could say like, hey,
no, but if it's happening at that level, is my point.
Scientific consensus and shit.
If it's happening that level, Chip, you can assume it's happening at every level underneath it. If it's happening at the highest
I don't think you can assume that. I don't think that you can. I think jumping to the assumption that if it's happening at the highest level, it must happen everywhere. I think that's not necessarily.
I think you must assume it. I can't believe you must assume that, or else you're going to fall victim to it. Like you're right. I
think you must be skeptical of it, but you can't assume it.
That's skepticism. You have to have.
Yeah, but you can't be cynical, right? You have to be skeptical, not cynical.
There's a fine line there. It's getting to the point. Cynical is like, I accept that everyone's lying to me. Skepticism is, I assume everyone's lying to me until I have the evidence they're not. Right? I mean.
Yeah, exactly. right? Like you have to be skeptical of it. Like you have to what was it? You have to use Occam's razor to some extent, right? You have to you have to at least, like, you can't document yourself on everything. You can't, right? If we do that, then we end up with flat earthers who they don't understand enough math or enough physics to understand why the earth is not flat. So then they go around saying stupid shit like, well, I see the earth being flat and see this person did this experiment, which whatever, right? Like
Yeah.
you end up in this perspective where it's okay, but how have we reached this point? Well, simply because people no longer trust any form of authority, right? Like we still need some trust in some consensus, and
Okay.
consensus needs to exist. And the consensus today isn't that a lot of the things that the government is necessarily saying are true. So then you can at least trust the consensus, right? Like consensus shouldn't be political, is my point.
Well, I mean, everything's political now, which is sad. I mean, look, I mean, we're talking about ethics, and liberals are the shame of this country. Michael Johnson, it must be your first time here. I hate liberals, so yeah, you know I hate liberals because they. You don't hate liberals, but I hate liberals because they keep letting Nazis sit at our table. They keep letting the alt-right sit at our table. No, thank you. I hate liberals because they're like, well, let them sit down. Let's hear them out. Let's hear them out one more time. All right. What this is tying into the three things I want. Okay, three categories of the believer. Are you ready? Okay, so you have culpable credulity. They had tools to know better. They saw contradictory evidence. The courts ruled against claims. Doubts arose and were consciously suppressed for comfort, tribal identity, or emotional need. Is that person guilty? If a person has all the tools to know better, sees contradictory evidence, the courts are also ruling against the claims.
Then they're guilty. Yeah,
They're guilty. So everyone who believes that the 2020 election was rigged,
obviously.
right?
Yeah, obviously.
So those people are unethical at this point. They're not just ignorant. They're not just
That's
epistemically deprived.
that's why I think when we do outreach, it's important that we inform people, not that we assume they're pieces of shit. That we try to inform them, and then if they start coming up with excuses, then we can say, well, they're pieces of shit, right? Right? Like, to some extent, again, ignorance, you can't blame people for ignorance, just like you can't blame yourself for being ignorant. Just ignorance just happens, whatever.
But if you have the tools, you have the evidence, you have the courts even
then you are guilty, yeah.
You're guilty. Okay, so next one. There's only three of these. The next one is manufactured ignorance. Systemically denied epistemic resources, never taught media literacy, trapped in algorithmically curated reality, would have needed tools they were never given to know better. Are they guilty?
No, because they're
They're
not
victim.
by choice. They're a victim, right? Like that's the whole thing. Is it a choice or not? You can only be guilty if it's a choice.
So they are guilty of what's called epistemic violence. And they are being actively denied. They're being actively deprived the tools to make decisions, to doubt what's happening, to challenge the status quo and question authority. I think that's the most common situation. All right, and the third one is rational history of betrayal. I think this one's interesting. They distrust mainstream institutions for historically justifiable research. The historically viable reasons, right? They distrust mainstream institutions, mainstream media. They distrust mainstream. This distrust leads to irrational conclusions.
Yeah, that's fallacious.
So distrust leads to irrational conclusions, like being a flat earther.
Yeah,
But
that's fallacious, obviously.
But the distrust itself has rational grounds.
Not always. I don't think it's always rational grounds.
No, but
That's why I
often it
have a
does.
problem. That's why I have a problem with this rhetoric that sometimes you're pushing. And I think it's dangerous because
My
it's.
rhetoric is dangerous.
I think to some extent saying that you can't trust the government, it is, yeah, because like maybe you can't trust Trump and maybe his allies, and I'll agree with you on that. But not everyone in the government is not trustworthy. That's my point, right? Like there's some people who go by this idea, like you can't trust authority, and they say they can't trust doctors, and they don't get the help that they need because
But
they say they
Chip,
can't trust
my
authority.
my my rhetoric is 2 words: question authority.
Yeah,
2 words.
it is. But you also, let's face it, you also shit on the government a lot,
Yes.
and the problem is that most people cannot differentiate because you shit, and you rightfully so shit on the higher government. I don't think you have that big of a problem with local governments as you
No, I
do with
think
the
local
higher
governments
government.
are. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so you see, you shit on those people, which again, rightfully so, they're fucking shitty. But you see, people can't make a distinction, most people,
I
and
shit on them when
then
they lie. I guess there is a danger if you just say like, oh, sometimes I say things like all government's bad because all government is exists by threat of violence or starvation.
yeah,
Governments exist because of violence, right? And
oh
they use
god,
violence.
yeah,
They exist for violence. But if I'm like a black man living in Michigan and I distrust the government and this guy named Donald Trump comes around and he's like, I hate the government too, I might vote for him. So it gets complicated, right? But this is why I have a lot of people on the far right. They just like they're libertarian. I have people who are libertarians who agree with everything I say about personal freedoms and liberties, but they're still praying to capitalism. They're still praying to the bosses, which is
I
something we
think
need to disabuse
I
them
think
of.
saying, yeah, I think saying everything is complex is fallacious. I think saying everything is simple is fallacious. I think some things are simple, some things are complex, and I think the authority, whether you should trust authority or not, it's an extremely complex thing because it depends on the authority. And even the trust that you get from authority, I don't think it should be blind trust ever, right? Like, I agree with you. But your trust in authority should be dependent on how this authority prove themselves to be right or wrong, and how they make assessments on whether they're right or wrong,
But
right?
that's
Like,
Cliffordian ethics, right? I don't believe them without the evidence.
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't believe that the ship is seaworthy until I have evidence that the ship is seaworthy. That
yeah.
the ship is ship shape.
But for example, Sky, if an authority just does evidence and they explain the evidence and they keep explaining the evidence, and every decision that they make is based on evidence, obviously you should always have the availability of the evidence for any claim that they make. But if every claim that they've made has always been evidence based, then you can have a little bit more trust in the other claims that they're making, even if you yourself haven't checked the evidence, right? Like, you cannot, because if you are, then you become cynical instead of skeptic, right? That's my point, right? The difference between skeptic and cynical, it's a very good one, because you should be skeptical, not cynical. You should be skeptical, but that means if this person has always given you evidence, if this person has always been on the providing evidence-based uh, opinions and claims, then there's no reason for you to believe that another claim wouldn't be evidence-based. But there's also no reason for you to be like, well, I start doubting them. But there's also no reason for you to have full trust, right? Like, you have to be somewhere in there.
Well,
It's kind of,
Sky read Cliffordian ethics. What? What do you mean red Clifford? Why is it Sky read Cliffordian ethics?
because you
LOL.
keep talking about it.
Well, yeah, I've been talking because that's the whole theme of the show, right? I wanted to
Yeah,
talk
yeah,
about
yeah, yeah.
Cliffordian ethics today. Like, that's the whole point of today. Like, if everyone's just tuning in for the first time, usually we talk about some kind of ethical point of view, an ethical problem, a philosophical item or concept, and we argue about them using we contextualize them and argue about them for using experiences and current events. Thank you. Welcome to the Ethical Underground, everybody. Like and subscribe if you like arguing about ethics. It's been fun. Hard to tell these days what about Trumpian ethics. Well, here's the thing about Trumpian ethics, right? And so
They
this is
don't
how.
exist.
Well, yeah. I mean, we have the Trump question. He's a deep fake producer, so he is guilty under every ethical framework. The platform he has platforms that distribute without verification. He owns truth, so he's guilty of epistemic negligence at scale. He's also friends with those people like Zuckerberg and Elon Musk. So
Oh
he's
yeah, those people are very much guilty of making people ignorant. You're right
yeah.
about that. Yeah.
The politician who exploits a corrupted information environment. Check. Complicity in the destruction of shared reality. The thing that we were talking about, Hannah Arendt, one of my favorite philosophers, Hannah Arendt, talks about the destruction of a shared reality under totalitarian rule. Political lying, basically. The media ecosystem that profits from outrage over truth. That's structural culpability. That's Donald Trump as well. And on the fifth case, the voter who believes without investigation is possibly victim, possibly a guilty, but I mean, it depends on where they land. But the person who takes advantage of them is certainly guilty, and that's 5 counts of moral corruption on Donald Trump in this episode, which is kind of nice. But I guess what the other thing was, well, then how do we live, right? And it really sucks because then we have to live this skeptic's life, which is what you're just talking about, Chip.
I
Like,
think that's a beautiful life to live. What do you mean?
it's an exhausting life to live in the current environment and what's coming down the pipe. I really think that we're entering an age where it's going to be
It's exhausting if you take this approach where you believe that where you believe in absolutes. That's I think is the exhausting thing, isn't it? Because the minute you start believing in absolutes, you end up in this position where you start taking absolutes. The
well, we
Democrats this one thing. Okay. A lot of people sometimes they read the news and they read that the Democrats did this one thing. And they don't know if it's good or bad.
yeah, but I'm
So
the guy who's saying that the boat's got holes in it. There's evidence that this ship will not sail. The evidence is clear because the ship keeps sinking, and
yeah.
we keep trying to get in the boat, but you keep telling me that if I pray hard enough, the ship's gonna fucking go. It's gonna be all right. We
No.
gotta.
All I'm telling you is you shouldn't have a captain that doesn't that allows you to be on the ship if there's
Yeah, but I don't care about
holes.
the captain anymore because the ship is not seaworthy, and we keep on trying to change the captain. Doesn't help. We keep changing the captain, and the captain
Yeah.
keeps doing the same shit. Keeps trying
But
to
I think
sail a broken ship.
I think even Republicans agree that it's not really working, don't they?
It's
I
becoming
don't
that more and more. Yeah, more and more you see
I
MAGA people backing away from these child molesting chomocracy people. Yeah. But hold on, we're running out of time. I want to go to like here's the practice, right? What Chip was just talking about was like you have to hold beliefs the way a scientist holds beliefs, the way they have
yeah.
a hypothesis, open to revision, not immune to evidence, and but that's not weakness. That's intellectually honest. That's honesty with teeth, because we have hypotheses, not these absolute truths that are axiom. We don't have axioms. We have hypotheses. Uh, the second one is active investigation, not passive consumption. I think this is the one that's exhausting. Every piece of political content gets minimum friction before acceptance. That's why I say we need to be high friction. It's so funny because like people just want to have it so easy. Like just give your money to the next candidate or give your money to the right org. But instead, I'm saying be high friction. Who made this? What do they want? What evidence supports it? What could disconfirm it? Who benefits if I believe this? You know,
Yeah.
the willingness to say I don't know. This is maybe the hardest
Oh, this
demand. Yeah,
this is so it's so difficult for people nowadays to say I don't know, isn't it?
yeah, because our social lives require positions, right? But Cliffordian ethics requires resisting that demand when the evidence isn't there. So like the ship's captain is engaged and he has to look like he's certain about something, right? So then we
Yeah.
get on it. It's an ethical choice. An ethical choice is uncertainty stated honestly is not a failure. It's ethical.
The problem is that with this I don't know, it just came to me, is that it's kind of like a recursive problem because people are kind of stupid. So therefore, when they hear somebody say "I don't know," they think that then they're stupid. But in fact, somebody saying "I don't know" is a sign of intelligence. So you end up in this position where you're like, you just you're forced to invent something if you don't know or know, or like, and then you become stupid, and it becomes recursive. Like people being stupid just makes everyone stupid. It makes everyone a little bit stupider.
I think this happens a lot in this debate bro culture online. People want to fight and they're unable to just go like, well, I don't know. Like, which is so weird.
Some debates are like that, and I'll give you that. Yeah, but the thing is moving, Sky. I the so debate culture is evolving. I'm very much into debates, as you know,
Hmm.
and like a year ago, debates were very much about winning and very much about owning the other person. And today, there still are some people who think it's about that, but they easily get swept under the rug because now debates are more about the arguments. They're more about the actual point rather than winning, which is kind of cool. Well, at least the ones that I listen to more and more.
I hope so. I mean, that's what I do on my call-in show. I call it like a dialectic show instead of a debate show. I'm more interested in a dialectic than I'm a debate. I don't really care about winners and losers in a zero-sum game. It just seems so stupid to me. What's the point of a debate if that's the case? And I think that ties in with epistemic community building. Clifford's individual burden is only bearable inside communities of inquiry, people who share the commitment and help each other navigate the flood. Skepticism at scale is a collective practice, not a solo one. That ties in so beautifully with like what I'm trying to do with this channel is to create dignity-based resistance. And I think that that's the whole point of doing what we're doing, what we're engaged in right now, and why YouTube's important, why independent media is important, is because you create these communities of epistemic community building. I never really thought of it like that, but
I think
building.
you're a great. I think you're a great person, Sky, for intelligent people. I don't think you're a great person for stupid people,
I don't know. Maybe.
because because you make great points for somebody who understands them. But I think for people who don't, they may understand the wrong thing, right? Like, for example, I'm thinking of this create friction thing that you say, which is
Yeah.
fucking beautiful. And I didn't understand it at first, but now I agree with you on it.
But couldn't
And I
couldn't
think it's a
debate?
great point.
But then couldn't
It,
dumb people get it? Like be high friction. Say
yeah,
no
it's just
more.
that dumb people don't understand what create friction necessarily means, right? Like, create friction doesn't mean get yourself arrested.
No, it doesn't mean get yourself arrested. I was so proud. Somebody emailed me, a channel member emailed me, and they said that they went to the airport and they said, I don't want to get my picture taken. And the other people they were with were like, what do you mean you're not getting your picture taken? She's like, you don't have to get your picture taken. And she heard it from me. And so they said,
That's
I don't want
awesome.
my picture taken either. And so
Fucking
like
yes.
so like
Fuck
four
yeah.
people were like, fuck this, we're not getting our picture taken.
It's
And
amazing.
it is amazing. I felt so proud at that moment. And if I could get everybody to stop just letting the government take their picture at the airport, it might seem like such a stupid thing, but we need to be pushing back. We need to be high friction. We can't just let the government chip away, because that's how they do. They chip, 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 chip. Uh,
Until a point, right? Like, I feel like everyone has a breaking point, right? I think I think it's very important that we move that breaking point, or that we help people acknowledge that breaking point, and not just acknowledge it, but like acknowledge their true breaking point. I think that's what I think is very valuable, right? Because you can't push somebody past their, like, you can't move somebody's breaking point. You can't tell me, because for example, I don't have a problem with them taking my photo, right? But I understand your point of view, and I that's just not my breaking point. But if, however, I find out that the photo that they took, is when they scan my passport, the machine takes a photo. However, if I found out that photo was kept, or was kept for longer than needed, then I'm like, well, okay,
yeah,
then
you're
I don't
you're
want to take a photo anymore, right?
you're
So,
the last guy in the poem. You're the guy in the poem. First they came for the communists. I didn't do anything because that wasn't my breaking point. And then they
no,
came for the
no,
labor
nobody came for
unionists.
anyone, Sky. No,
They
I
are. They're
just
coming.
like,
They're coming for
no.
little individual
Please,
freedoms.
please stop drawing inferences, like ridiculous inferences based on that.
I'm not going to
Taking your
resist because I
somebody
don't care.
taking a No, I'm not gonna resist because it doesn't affect me. In fact, it affects
That's
me
it.
negatively to resist.
It doesn't affect me when they took the communists.
It
'cause I
affects me
wasn't a communist.
negatively. It affects me negatively to resist. It doesn't affect anybody else. That's my whole point, right? Like, and this is the difference between skeptical and cynical. You're being cynical about this, not skeptical.
You're being complicit.
No, why would you assume that them taking a photo is necessarily something that they're going to do something wrong with it?
It's not about that. It's about my person. They take a naked picture of you in the back scanner too. What are they going to do with that naked picture of you when the thing spins around you at the airport? I don't know. It doesn't matter to me because I don't fucking go through that thing. You know why? Because they don't have the right to take a naked picture of me, and I need to push back, or else they'll take more rights. It's not a slippery slope argument.
That's a slippery slope fallacy.
It's not a fallacy if it's happening, Chip. It's not a fallacy if every single day first it's your shoes, then they want the picture taken, then they want your back scanner, then they want a special ID. Now
But that's a thing in the US only, Sky. Like, my rights haven't, like, me going to the airport has been better now than it was before. So in fact, I have to do less stuff than what I was doing before. I'm allowed to go with water now. I wasn't allowed to before. I'm allowed to, like, I still have to walk through the scanner of medals and stuff. I'm just...
The USA decided that, the water thing. But, I mean, it's... Again,
I'm just like, it's not applicable to everyone. I noticed that in US you have to take your shoes off. It's very insane. Passing through a US airport is insane. Like, it's just so much. It's true that the requirements are more and more there.
It's because
but it's not everywhere that way.
People let it happen. People let it happen. And
but
at the
you
end
see,
of the poem,
here
they
nobody
come for
resisted
you.
it. Here nobody resisted it, and it still didn't become that, right? So I can understand that if you have like a shitty government, you always have to fight against it. But when you have like
all governments are shitty. This is what's so funny.
Upper governments are to some extent shitty, but not all governments are shitty.
You have such a love for daddy government. You're like, well,
no, I
daddies
don't.
are
I just
good.
don't go by. I just don't have hate for them. That's the opposite. Just because I don't have hate for them doesn't mean I have love for them, Sky.
You're okay with them. You're okay with it. You're literally just you want to be a collaborator because it's easier for you. But all I'm saying, the risk is so low, the stakes are so low for saying I don't want to get my picture taken, but the ripple effect is so high when you think about pushing back on the government, because really all it takes is everyone being a little bit not okay with the government telling me what to do. I don't need everyone wheeling out the guillotines. I don't need everybody taking up arms and storming the Capitol. What I need is everyone to stop bending over so easily. And what you're doing is saying it's easier for me just to bend over.
No,
and
I think it's not
stop
fair for
bending
you
over.
to. I don't think it's fair for you to judge my breaking point. Again,
it's not about
that's
your
what I'm
breaking
trying
point.
to say.
When
It
they came
is.
for the communists, I didn't do anything because it didn't affect me.
Why do you
when
pay your
they came
taxes,
for the labor
Guy?
unionists, I did nothing because
Why
it
do you
didn't
pay for your
affect me.
taxes? Why do you pay your taxes?
I resist that too.
How?
I'm not going to say it on the internet.
Okay, but like, that's all I'm saying. You still pay your taxes, right? Like, at the end of the day, it's still you resist how by
because I'll
paying
go
not
to
on time or
jail
some
if I
shit.
don't, Chip. I could go to jail if I don't do that. You will not go to jail for not taking a picture at the airport. You will not
No,
go to
but I
jail
will wait
for
4
demanding
hours in a
pat
line.
down.
There's either the line where they take my photo, or I wait 4 hours in line. If my photo is used temporarily to identify me according to my document, what would be the problem with it? I don't get that. Like, why would that be an issue?
They don't have that right to force me to get my picture taken.
But they don't force me. I choose to because it's faster.
They don't tell you. They don't even tell you. They say, okay, now put your face in the camera, and you just do it.
I know they do that in the US. That's weird. But when I'm talking about, for example...
You act like I lived in Europe, man. They do the same shit there. Pose for the picture. They don't say, would you like a picture taken?
In Europe, whenever I go, I can either choose to go with the passport where the people check it and nobody takes a photo, or I choose to take a photo in the machines where they scan my passport and the machine takes a photo to analyze with my passport.
At the security checkpoint, there's still a guy who checks your passport and your boarding pass to get into the terminal. What are you talking about? Are you talking about the
But nobody takes a photo
at the
there.
Counter?
Nobody takes a photo of you there. There's no photos being taken of you unless the security to check your passport. the machine does that, and you can skip the machine by using the person, and no photo is taken of you.
I think you're talking about like the are you talking about at the counter where you with like the Delta counter or the Lufthansa counter? Is that what you're talking? I'm talking about the security
No.
checkpoint where the government's forcing you to get your picture taken and taking naked pictures of you.
So you have you have passport control, and you have security, right?
Right.
At security, nobody takes a photo of you. At security,
Well,
you
if
just
they're not taking
put
your
your
photo, then
bags and shit,
then what are you
and then they look
arguing
into
about?
your bag. Say it again.
Then what are you arguing about if they don't
At
do it?
passport control, they take a photo, right? Like the machine takes a photo of you at the passport control.
I don't know what they're doing in the Netherlands in 2026. It's been over 10 years since I've been in Europe, but I know that here in the United States they don't have the right to take your fucking picture, and they don't have the right to do the backscatter
But
technology.
when are they taking a photo of you?
At the TSA checkpoint, they check your passport and your boarding pass, but
I
now
remember
they don't check
they
your
do
boarding
that there.
pass anymore.
Yeah.
Unless you say I don't want my picture taken, and then you have to show them your boarding pass, and that's all you have to do. But they go, okay, take a picture, and then I have to get down here because I'm too goddamn tall. I got to get down here, and I got to get my picture taken, or I could say no. I don't want my picture taken.
I don't remember if in the US they took a photo of me. That's like very.
Absolutely
I do
took a
remember.
picture.
You're right. You're right about one thing, that in US they check your It's so weird because in Amsterdam it's the opposite. In Amsterdam you go in, you scan your boarding pass, you go in, and then you wait in line. In US you wait in line and then they take a photo of you, right?
Yeah. What's the it's called like something pole? What's the airport in Amsterdam called?
Schiphol.
Schiphol, yeah. I noticed that sometimes at the gates they have the machine that you have to walk through, not at the terminal entrance.
Oh,
in
not
Schiphol.
not in Schiphol, no. There is
It's been
an
a lot of
airport
years
in
since
Europe where I saw that. Yeah, I did
it's
see
been
that.
a lot of years since I've been to Amsterdam, but anyway, yeah, they might do things differently there, man. I don't know. Here in America, a man or woman in uniform tells you to get your fucking picture taken and then go through this thing that spins around you, takes a naked picture of you. I do neither of those things because the government doesn't have the right to do it. And yes, it makes me have to wait 5 more seconds or something. I don't have to wait very much longer. They get a person to pat me down. They pat me down. And I
Interesting.
say, yeah,
I never thought about refusing to go through the scanner, but I
I
might.
don't go
That's a
through that.
good
Fuck
one.
that scanner. If
Yeah, I
they
mean
want
it's
if,
not a
yeah,
healthy scanner. It's some radiation there.
it's a lot of radiation. The new ones are quite a
Yeah.
bit more. And what's crazy is like you don't have to do it. You
I
can
didn't
say
know you don't. I didn't know you don't have to do that one. That's interesting.
it's a violation of my privacy. And so like
Yeah.
I don't have to do it, but I do have to get patted down. And I'm like, and they send a person out. It's always a man for me. It's always a woman for somebody else. And they
I
pat me
almost
down.
always get pat down anyway, so it's like.
That's what I mean. Half the time you go through, they still fuck
Yeah.
with you. So you might as well
Yeah.
just say no. I get a free pat down, exactly. I literally say, hey, let's get to know each other. And they're like,
I hate it when they go through my stuff. That's what I feel is a violation of my
they're
rights.
going to go through your shit anyway. They do
Yeah,
all the
but I
time.
really don't like. I can't resist that, can I? But that feels like a violation of my trust. I'll give you that. Like when my backpack goes like the wheels, they analyze, and then the wheels go like zzz, and then it goes forward instead of actually me being able to
Yeah,
take
and
it.
then it
And
shoots
I
out
know
the
that
other
they'll
side.
have to investigate it, and they're like, look, we're not going to look through it, because they go like, you open it yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, but you're still looking through it. Like, I remember that at some point I took something out and they became really defensive really fast. Like, no, don't touch it. I was like, oh, what the fuck,
Yeah.
man?
In the
It's
United
my
States, they're like,
backpack.
you
What do
don't
you
touch
mean,
it
don't
at
touch
all.
it?
Like they don't let you near it. And and what's funny too is after they touch you, pat you down, then they analyze their gloves to see if you have any bombs on you. Again, they still put their gloves through the scanner to see if you have bombs. It's like, you know what? You guys fuck with me every time I go to the airport anyway. I'm going to I sign up, pat me down, check my fucking bag. Let's put some gum in the gears here. Let's go. I don't want to be just a herd animal going through the gate. And that's what I mean by high friction.
Yeah. Yeah,
And I
I
mean
feel
that
like
in
in
everything in
the
life.
age of AI now, I feel like can't we all this information that we gathered, can't we just like create some form of at least like can I not become like you know how it is at the supermarket here in Alberheim, like the supermarket that I go to, I scan every product with my phone,
Mm-hmm.
and from time to time they do a random check, from time
Yeah.
to time. But if on that random check I forgot to scan something or I scanned one extra item, which sometimes happens, then they mark it as I didn't scan properly, right? And then that means that I get more random checks.
Oh, you get a little
Right?
mark.
You
Hey,
get a little, you have kind of like a point system to your
you're on
account.
a list.
Yeah. Well, no, you're all on the same list. You just kind of have like a point system. How likely are you to get a random check, right? Which
Yeah.
just makes sense. I wish that they made that. Why don't they just make like how likely am I to get a random check at the airport? Like, can't we
They
just
do
make
that.
that?
They do that. If you're rich, you could buy Clear Pass and you could get
Oh, I saw that
pre-approved.
at the airport. It's so fucked up. So if you're
Yeah.
rich, you can go through without anybody checking.
You
Is
could
that
pay a
really so?
monthly subscription and you could go in
Well,
without checking now.
at least in Europe, everyone, even the rich, have to check. They don't
Yeah.
wait in the same line, but they also at least have to go through the
In
same shit.
America, we're going to get rid of the TSA so that it'll be a private company that I won't be able to negotiate that anymore with. And you think they're going to respect my rights? That's why they're
No.
doing it, man. And it's like it's not a slippery slope if it's happening. It's all there's clear in every airport pretty much now. They've done away with TSA pre-check. It doesn't exist anymore. Now you have to pay a monthly subscription to go, and now you have to get the real ID, unless of course you have $45, and now you can pay $45 and you don't need to have a real ID. So again, you could either spend $175 for a real ID to travel in America or $45 every time you travel. Explain why we're classifying, we're creating a class structure with our ability to move.
So weird.
This is Nazi Germany. The rich had papers and the poor don't. The rich could go through the bureaucracy and get the right stamps, and the poor can't.
Man, I feel like a lot of I don't know, man. I don't know what the hell that is. It's weird. It's weird. I don't know what they're trying to do. I don't know if it's a because like I have to have an ID when I go to the airport. Also, it makes sense, right, for me to have an ID when I go to the airport.
How many IDs do you want to have? I have
Just one.
ID. We already had IDs, but now you got to
Yeah.
get a real ID. And
Maybe
so
it's just
now
because they updated it.
no, dude, because
No.
not everyone has access to the paperwork to actually get a real ID. So there's literally people right now, for example, in many in the most disgusting cases to me are the people that were born during Jim Crow. That wasn't that long ago. And so they're saying there are people today who were born black in the rural South and they weren't given birth certificates.
Is
They
Jim
have a
Crow like a crow that goes at the gym? Come on, you can do it. What's a
that's
Jim
what's
Crow? I don't
no.
even know what Jim Crow. I heard you say it before, but I didn't know what it is.
Jim Crow was an era. It was more like a set of laws that kept black people from engaging equally on equal footing with whites in Southern society. So like,
Um,
I'm sure you've seen like the whites only drinking fountains, right, or coloreds only buses
yeah.
and stuff. That was all Jim Crow. So and that happened in hospitals too. There were black hospitals and white hospitals, stuff like that. So a lot of poor black people were just born at home, and they don't have a birth certificate.
Oh,
Now 50 years later, 60 years later, or something, they still don't have a birth certificate, but they have houses, they have ID, like they have bank accounts, they have all the stuff like everyone else, but they really don't have the possibility of getting a birth certificate either because so much time has passed and now they can't fly.
how do they get like? Can they get a mortgage and shit?
What?
Can they get a credit card? Like in US, you'd need a credit card for anything. How do they get a credit card if they don't have a
It
birth
used to be
certificate?
easier to get credit cards and stuff, right? You just need a bank statement and things like that, right? You don't need a birth certificate.
But I guess Whatever. We're getting into something else now. Yeah.
Yeah. Jim Crow's Nazi BS. Yeah. Yeah, and that's where I think kind of where I guess that my point is like if we had more high friction people, we wouldn't have this real ID bullshit. Why do
I
I
don't
have to
think you
have
can draw that conclusion necessarily.
the government made it so that more people have to have more forms of ID to travel? That's fucking
I think you can also
totalitarianism.
say that this high friction may create even more of an incentive for somebody to switch to something else, right?
The government? The government
No, I mean people like if there's more high friction people, then they create the system where there is the high friction, right? A lot of the times, systems in airports are not private but semi-private or some shit, and they want to move as many people as possible. So if more people are showing friction, then they create a system where the friction is the norm and the non-friction isn't. So then people who are creating the friction will then stand in lines and shit, and the people who are not won't. So right, so it's like I feel like you're underestimating just how little people actually care about that friction thing. A lot of people just care about getting through and
this is the
going where they need
problem.
to go.
That's
I don't know
exactly
if it's the problem,
that's
Sky. I
where
think
you are. You think it's
yeah,
okay to like
I don't think it's okay. Also, I don't think it's okay, but I also don't think it's like I don't think it's how should I put this? Like if you can explain to a person and give clear details on why being frictionless, how it will affect them and have some form of statistical significance for it, and then that person can make a choice, right? Like you said, evidence based.
in low
But if you
friction
just say
environments you
be
have
friction because the government may do something to you, then it's kind of
no
fucked up
because the
because it's like
government is doing something to us. They if you just are okay with it all and you just let the government run roughshod over you, that's how we get the draft. That's how we get bullshit wars. That's how we've seen it. We have historical evidence of this. We've been here before. And yet because people are so like, but I love it so easy. It's so easy to have mega corporations everywhere with great return policies. So it's
it's
so
not
easy.
that. I think like there needs to be some form of automation, and not that there needs to be. I think automation can help to serve us. Obviously, not to the extent that we're gonna take it, right? Like we're entering a new era of automation. That's a whole different conversation. But like with some form of automation, we do require some form of automation. Like everyone needs to have this type of ID. I don't know why they would put it so much pricier or something. Like I would see it just as an evolution of the ID, right? Not like a different thing. Um, but I'm trying to say like it's not all about the government taking your rights away, right? Sometimes it's also about just moving as many people as possible through that
If they
airport.
wanted to move as many people as possible, you would be able to buy a ticket like you do on a train and get on without ID. Why do I need ID?
So you don't have trains in US, what do you mean?
Yes, we do. The fuck are you talking about? I've taken
The trains in US are not really trains. Come on.
Yes, they are.
I
I've taken trains all around America. We have trains. It's a big country. We've
You
got
can't
lots of
go
trains.
can you go from LA to Vegas by train?
No, not to Las Vegas.
It's the extremely common destination. So many planes fly from one to another, right? So
We
that's
take
what
we
I
take
mean.
well they never built a railroad track like for passengers to Las Vegas like that. But we have what's called buses. I've taken buses to Las Vegas, and they
Yeah.
always talk about building a monorail from Victorville to Las Vegas. But that's neither here nor there. You could take a
Yeah.
train from here to L.A. or from L.A. to San Francisco. You could
And
do
do you show
that.
your ID there?
No,
No. Yeah.
no, you don't have to show ID. You need a ticket.
Yeah. I
That's
don't
all.
know the ins and outs, all the ins and outs of it. I know I worked for a security like software for an airport long time ago. Like, but the security software that had nothing to do with like checking on people or stuff. I don't know how much I'm allowed to speak to about it still, so I don't want to get into many details. But all I know is that it's a little bit more complex than we make it out to be,
Yeah.
and a lot of the times some decisions are made for the sake of making it simpler for the automation and for the things, right? Which I know you're against, right? Like you don't want to make their life easier.
I don't want to make it easier for the corporations. Um, if you take Amtrak, you need ID now. I took Amtrak recently. We didn't need ID, but maybe you do sometimes. You don't need real ID, that's for sure. You only need real ID to fly. So
I'm writing. I'm laughing because somebody says I have a math deficiency.
Chip is a good example of math deficiency. We need.
Yeah,
What do you
me, the
mean?
math Olympic. I have a math deficiency. Bravo.
Aren't you a mathlete? Chip's way better at math than I am. I was an English major. He was a programmer. All right.
I did math college also.
Weren't you a math major in college?
I actually wanted to pursue that, but then I became a person who was like, well, I want the car, so I'll find a job. So then I became a programmer for the money, and then to buy a car, and then I hit my car, and then I was left without a car for half a year. So I suffered a lot, and then I wanted the car even more. So it just became a whole bullshit thing where I was
What'd you get your degree in?
Well, computer science mostly.
Computer science, yeah. A lot of people.
But I had math was so it was a 3-year, not a big deal. And the first 2 years were heavy on math, like heavy.
Yeah, I wanted to do an English, because I was an English major. I wanted to do English major, double major in English and math, because I thought those were like the two most badass like degrees. But they wouldn't let me. They said it would be too hard, so they wouldn't let me do it. So I did English and German. They made me choose between English and math. They wouldn't let me do it. But I really wanted to, but yeah, they said it was impossible, that no one could actually do that. Like, all right, well, fine.
Yeah.
All right, thank you everyone for joining. Chip and I are gonna go for a second. I'm gonna tell Chip a story about a girl I met at the premiere. I went to a movie screening in Beverly Hills of a movie called
Beverly Hills and shit, man. Here I am on the street fighting for animal rights. This guy's going to Beverly Hills. I'm kidding.
It was an animal rights movie that
I'm picking at you. I know. I'm pretty sure you were doing something for others, because you're always.
It was for an animal rights. It was for a good cause, and I went to a screening, and we're going to talk about that in the members only chat. Members only, starting now on the ethical overground.
The Netherlands math is not actual math. Man, this guy's all over the place. It's funny.
I don't see him. All right. Thank you, everybody, for joining us on the Ethical Underground. My name is Scott Jack Morgan. That's that Chip guy. He's that Chip guy on all the other platforms as well. Please subscribe to Chip. Follow him on Instagerms. And I'll see you on the other side. Please hang out with us in the Ethical Overground if you are a channel member. I think I made it for all channel members this time. Thanks. Bye, everybody.
Be there or be square.
Be there or be square. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank you so friggin' much.